mid-7th century BC, the Neo-Assyrian Empire was the largest territory the world had known. Leading this empire was Ashurbanipal, a shrewd military commander, admired by his people, but ruthless towards his enemies. His passion for knowledge led him to establish the Royal Library of Ashurbanipal, often called the most precious source of historical material in the world. Ashurbanipal, whose name means Ashur has made another son, was born in 685 BC in Nineveh, the Neo-Assyrian capital. He was a descendant of the Sargonid dynasty, founded by his great-grandfather Sargon II, who seized the throne in 722 BC. His grandfather, Sennacherib, and father, Esarhaddon, were successful rulers who expanded the empire to its greatest extent. After conquering Egypt in 671 BC, Esarhaddon became the first ruler to control both Mesopotamia and Egypt. He died 2 years later while en route to quell a rebellion in Egypt. Despite being the fourth son, Ashurbanipal was named heir to the Assyrian Empire and took the title King of the Universe. His first act as king was to suppress the Egyptian rebellion, which he accomplished quickly. By 665 BC, Egypt was once again under Assyrian control, and Ashurbanipal appointed Psamtik, an Egyptian prince who had been re-educated as a puppet ruler, as pharaoh. Soon after, the kingdom of Elam, under King Urtak, invaded Babylonia, while Ashurbanipal was occupied in the west. The Assyrians easily repelled the attack, and Urtak died shortly after. Meanwhile, Ashurbanipal's brother, Shamash-Shum-Ukin, grew resentful of his secondary position as king of Babylon and secretly supported Elam to weaken Ashurbanipal's reign. In response, Ashurbanipal launched a campaign against Elam in 653 BC, decisively defeating them in the Battle of Ulai. He vividly described his victory, boasting of the massive slaughter and the devastation he inflicted on the Elamite kingdom. Tensions between Ashurbanipal and his brother eventually led to civil war in 652 BC. Despite being outmatched, Shamash-Shum-Ukin held out for years by forming alliances with Ashurbanipal's enemies. However, his efforts were in vain as Assyrian forces besieged Babylon, and Shamash-Shum-Ukin perished in 648 BC, either setting himself on fire or being burned alive by Assyrian soldiers. Ashurbanipal crushed the rebellion, stating that he had fed the bodies of his enemies to wild animals. Following this, Ashurbanipal destroyed the Elamite capital of Susa, leaving it desolate, though this would later allow the Medes to rise in the region and contribute to the downfall of Assyria. After years of war, Ashurbanipal turned to scholarly pursuits, building the world's first systematically organized library in Nineveh. His passion for knowledge drove him to collect texts from across the known world, amassing a vast collection. He personally read many of the works, boasting of his intellectual superiority. The library, buried during the Battle of Nineveh in 612 BC, was rediscovered in 1849 by English archaeologist Austen Henry Layard. Among its treasures was the Epic of Gilgamesh, considered one of the earliest works of literature. Ashurbanipal died in 631 BC, after a 38-year reign. His death led to internal strife and a weakening of the empire. Nabopolassar, a Babylonian rebel, seized the opportunity to establish the Neo-Babylonian Empire. He allied with the Medes and other groups, and together they conquered Nineveh in 612 BC. Ashurbanipal's son, Ashur-uballit II, fled to Haran, but was ultimately defeated. With this loss, the Neo-Assyrian Empire came to an end. Though Ashurbanipal had built an unparalleled empire and contributed greatly to knowledge, his empire fell only 2 decades after his death.